So
Got
today
it.
I'm discussing basic discussion about Java. Actually, already you're having oh again that one is okay. 1 second. Don't click on attendees list, madam. Why? Because I'm a presenter now. My screen is visible now.
Yeah, so how can you see my screen?
No, not your screen. My screen is visible.
Yeah,
Okay. Why? Because I am trainer, so I am sharing my screen. Okay. Just observe my screen. Okay. If you are having any doubts, then only you can I can send request to presenter request to you.
okay.
So actually Java, generally C language, take C language as an example. C is a structured programming language and procedure oriented programming language. Already you know. So structured programming language means generally. So C is a structured programming language. So what is meant by a structured programming language? So every programming language is following some certain structure. For suppose take English as an example. For suppose English is having some grammatical rules or not. So English is having certain structure. In the same way, if you are learning any programming language, by defaultly that one is following some structure. So as a programmer, you must follow the rules and regulations that are imposed on that language. Okay, if you are writing a program means in that language you must follow the syntax and semantics of the particular language. So C is a structured programming language. So Java is also structured programming language, and also C is a procedure oriented programming language. Actually, procedure.
Uh, Subhara,
Yes, yes,
hello.
yes, yes.
You continue to the yesterday's class.
Actually, Prajula madam is not. Why? Because previous class is Prajula madam is not attended or not. That is the problem. I think. Today onwards, I continue the. Okay, I'm discussing all the concepts again. No problem. Okay.
Sir, we already know the core Java. So can you please start from after core Java, like JSP servlets and all? Me and Raju already took a training from my cousin.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
from
Okay. No.
India.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from India. So we
I'm
already know
discussing
these
directly coding
structures and all.
only. At that time, I'm discussing only coding. Okay. Core Java serialization, synchronization, and also some other advanced concepts, collections. These things already you know some advanced concepts in interview point of view. Also, that concepts are very important.
Uh,
No issue. Okay. Directly I'm speaking about how to write a class and how to create an object and everything that programming concepts one by one I am discussing. Okay, after that I am entering into the advanced Java. Okay, that one is
yeah.
okay for you. Okay. So in the what is class? Generally a class is a blueprint for creating an object actually. So how to write a class in Java? Class, for suppose, so employee, for suppose here I am defining one class employee. So here I am defining int number and also string name and also one more variable address I am writing. So after that here I am writing one method void get data method, for suppose. So here inside get data method here I am defining number equals to 1 and name equals to some Suresh and address equals to Hyderabad, for suppose here I am specifying. And also I am writing another method void print data method, for suppose. So inside this print data method here I am defining system.out.println. Here I am printing the information. System.out.println first number and after that backslash t here I am appending. Here plus is a concatenation operator. So after that name and also here also I am appending backslash t and also address for suppose. So this is one class. This is the way to write a class. So what exactly a class? Class is a blueprint for creating an object. Class is a blueprint or model or abstract for creating an object. So at the time of writing a class contains data members and methods. So data members means whatever the variables we are defining in a class, those variables are called as data members. Here number, name, address, these are all called as data members. And methods means get data is a method and print data is a method. Or suppose the interviewer is asking a question, what is the difference between function and a method? So what is the question? What is the difference between function and a method? In Java we are calling methods. Why? Because take C++ as an example. In C++ there is a possibility to write functions outside of a class also. That main method we are writing outside of a class. So in C++ we are calling that one as functions. Why? Because functions can be written inside a class and outside a class also. But in Java everything is written inside a class only. That means variable declaration, method declaration, and also block declaration. Everything is written inside a class only. So in Java we are calling this one as methods only. Method cannot be written outside a class. Method is always written inside a class only. So for suppose a Java program contains number of classes. So for this here I am writing one class for suppose test1. So here test1 contains main method, public static void main. Here a void main, this one is accepting one command line argument, string s. So here I am creating an object for suppose emp e equals to, here I am creating new emp. So what is the meaning of this one here? New is a keyword which is mainly for allocating memory dynamically. So what is the meaning of object creation? Object creation means allocating memory for the object. So if the memory is allocated means, so actually object means object is an instance of a class. Instance of a class. Instance means one copy of variables and one copy of methods are created in the object. So here observe this object diagram for suppose. Here in the object diagram, this is the object diagram. So if you are creating an object means what is the meaning of object creation? Allocating memory for the object. So if you are creating an object, some object reference will be created. In that object reference, three variables, for the three variables memory is allocated. For number and also name and also for the address memory is allocated. So this one is number and also name and also address for suppose. And also this one contains get data method and also print data method. So one copy of get data method and one copy of print data method is also available in the object. So in the object one copy of get data method and one copy of print data method is also available like this. So here this one is a reference variable. What is the reference variable here? Or suppose in the programming I am defining one reference variable e. Here e is not an object. E is just a reference variable. So what is reference variable actually? It refers to the particular object. So one object is created, that object is some memory reference will be allocated for the object. So that memory reference is stored in the reference variable e here. This e is a reference variable. So e contains what is the reference? 1e f2. So e is a reference variable directly that refers to the object. So by using e we can call any variable or method present in the object. For suppose I am calling get data method, e dot get data. What happens? The particular object get data method is called, or particular object get data method is called here. So if you are calling e dot get data, what happens? Get data method is called. So one is assigned to the number and Suresh is assigned to name. and HYD is assigned to the address. So the object variables number contains 1 and name contains Suresh and address contains HYD, like this. So by using get data method I am assigning the values, for suppose, and also after that I am calling print data method, for suppose e dot print data. So e dot print data means automatically the e is referring to one object or not. That object contains print data method. That object print data method is called. So that the print data method prints the instance variables of an object. What are the instance variables? Number, name, address. Number means 1. After the tab space, name means Suresh, and address HYD is printed. So here I am closing the main method and close the class. Here observe this program. This program contains actually two classes. One is employee class and another one is test1 class. So always you must save your Java program with the class name which contains main method. Here test1 class contains main method. That is the reason here I am saving this program with test1.java. So it is compulsory to save the Java program with the class name. Not mandatory. We can save with a different name also, no problem. But at the time of execution, we must provide the class name. For example, for understanding purpose, here I am saving this example with ksr.java, for suppose. So I already created one directory previously, Rajiv directory. In Rajiv directory only, I am storing the file. So what is the file name? Here I am providing ksr.java. So actually class name is test1, but I am saving with ksr.java. So if I am executing this example, for suppose, so go to D drive and cd space Rajiv, for suppose. So java c space ksr.java. The program is compiled properly, but at the time of executing program, if you are passing java space ksr means what happens? You are getting an error. What is the error? Could not find or load main class ksr. Why? Because if you are compiling this program, automatically a dot class file will be generated by the compiler. What is the dot class file? Dot class file contains bytecode. So if you are interpreting the bytecode means, that means the JVM converts that bytecode into the native code, native understandable code. At that situation, the dot class file is created in the form of emp.class file. Okay, the dot class file is created, test1.class and emp.class file. Two dot class files are created. So at the time of executing program, we must pass the class file name. What is the class file name? Test1. So here I am executing the program, java space test1. Automatically you are getting the output. So that means we can save the file with any name, no problem. But at the time of executing the program, we must pass the actual dot class file name. But our recommended way is generally always we are giving class name as the file name. For example, if you are giving class name as file name, means just save this one as test1.java. Why? Because test1.java only contains main method. So test1.java is already existed. Okay, replace it and execute the example. For suppose java c space test1.java and also java space test1. Here I am writing. So one Suresh HYD, like this. Okay, this is the way to create an object. So here observe this one. This object contains number 1, name Suresh, and address HYD. But suppose I am creating another object. That means I am creating another instance of a employee class. So emp e1 equals to new emp. So automatically one more object is created. If you are creating another object, means what happens? For one more object, the memory is allocated. In that memory, one copy of variables and one copy of methods will be stored in that object. So if you are calling e dot get data method, automatically the second object number, name and address is initialized. So at that situation, the second object contains same get data method. So one is assigned to the number and Suresh is assigned to the name and HYD is assigned to the address, like that. So if you are calling get data method, automatically the second object number, name and address is initialized. Here e1 dot get data, and e1 dot, here I am calling print data method. Automatically the second object number, name and address is printed. So here observe the output once. Java C space test1 dot java and Java space test1. Here observe the two objects data. Here two objects contain same data or not? Two objects contains same data. First object contains 1 Suresh HYD and second object also contains 1 Suresh HYD. So at that situation, if you are creating 100 objects, for suppose 100 objects contain same data. Why? Because here I am writing in the class, I am writing get data method, non-parameterized method. If you are not passing parameters, by defaultly I am assigning these values to the variables or not? I am assigning these values to the variables. So if you are creating any number of objects, all objects contains same data. But if you are creating multiple objects, means one object data is isolated from other object. Isolated means each object contains the individual information. So how can you achieve that one? Means here I am writing one parameterized one, for suppose int n and also string na and also string add. Here I am writing parameterized method. Here number equals to n, and instead of passing values directly, I am passing values dynamically. Name equals to name and address equals to add. So at the time of calling get data method, here I am passing parameters. What are the parameters? One Suresh and also another one is address, okay, HYD for suppose. So automatically for first object I am passing data, e dot get data I am calling. Instead, at the time of calling get data method, here I am passing 1 Suresh HYD. So automatically 1 is passed to the n. Why? Because the object contains one copy of this get data method. So 1 is passed to n and Suresh is passed to na and also the HYD is passed to the add. So that these are all local variables. That means whenever we are calling a method, automatically that method is pushed into a stack or not? Stack. Why? Because in JVM architecture, we are having Java stacks. So if you are calling any method, for executing the particular method, some memory will be required, where the memory is allocated on Java stacks. So in Java stacks, these variables are temporarily created. So these variables contains n contains 1, na contains Suresh and add contains HYD. So that values I am assigning to the actual object variables. Object variables means instance variables. Instance and object both will be same. Okay, we can call that one as object or instance. So instance variables means whatever the variables present in the object, those variables are called as instance variables. So number contains 1, name contains Suresh and address contains HYD. If you are printing e dot print data, means automatically 1, that name Suresh and HYD is printed. For suppose for second object also, here I am calling get data method. Here I am passing different data, for suppose 2 Ross and also here Bangalore, for suppose. So automatically for the second object also contains number, name and address. So this 2 is passed to the get data method n and Raj is passed to na and bin is passed to the add. So n is assigned to the number, like that. So the second object number is initialized with 2, name is initialized with Raj and address is initialized with BAN. Again, I am calling E1 dot print data. So E1 also contains print data method, second object also. If you are calling print data method, automatically second object print data method is called. That print data method prints the second object data. What is the second object data? Second object number is 2 ROS BAN. So now save this program and execute this example for suppose Java C test1.java, Java test1. Here I am getting null. Why I am getting null? Here once check this one. Here name equals to NJ here. Not name equals to name, here NJ. Okay. Why? Because the parameter is the formal parameter here I am passing NJ. So here NJ. That is the reason we are getting null value. So here observe the output. Here each object contains different data or not? Different data. First object contains 1 Suresh HYD, but second object data is 2 ROS BAN. That means if you are creating 100 objects contains different data. Okay, that is the main important point. Okay, any doubts about this one? Creation of an object?
No.
No.
Okay. So, but actually we are not using methods for initializing data. For initialization purpose, we are having separate concept in Java. That one is constructors. What is the concept? Constructors. For initialization of data. So what is constructor? Generally, constructor is a special method. Constructor is a special method. Its main task is to initialize the instance variables. Initialize the object. Object means object contains instance variables. So initialize the instance variables of an object. So generally methods are not used for initialization purpose. In the previous program I am writing a get data method for initializing the object, but actually we cannot use methods. Methods are not recommended for initializing the object. So instead of methods we can use constructors. So constructor is a special method. Its main task is to initialize the object. So there are the important points about constructor is, first point is the constructor name and class name must be same. The constructor name and class name must be same. And also the second point about constructor is constructor have no return type. Okay, constructor have no return type, even void also. Okay, even void also. Constructor does not have return types. Even void also it is not accepting. And also one more important point about constructor is whenever we are creating object, automatically constructor is invoked. Here observe the constructors. For example, here observe this document. Here Java KSR, SCJP. So constructors. So here I am writing one example for suppose about constructor. So these are the some important points about constructor. The same program, whatever the program I am writing previously, the same program I am implementing by using constructor for suppose. So class emp int number and also string name comma address for suppose, or otherwise I am same example only I am opening. Again open Rajiv folder. Here I am choosing all files. So test1.java. So instead of writing get data method, here I am directly writing the constructor. So what is the constructor? Constructor name is same as class name or no? Constructor name is same as class name. and constructor does not have a return type. So don't put return type before the constructor name. Even void also. Void means void does not return any value or not. Void does not return any value. Even void is also not accepting by the constructor. And also the only allowed modifiers for the constructor is public, private, protected and default only. Okay, only allowed modifiers for constructor is public, protected, private and default. The other modifiers are not allowed. For suppose if you are putting static modifier before the constructor, that one is not accepted. Why? Because only allowed modifiers are public or private or protected. And also in constructors also we are having two constructors, default constructor and parameterized constructor. Or suppose you are observe this one, here I am writing default constructor. One, for suppose same one only. For understanding constructors only, I previously have written get data method actually. One Suresh and HYD for suppose. So here I am creating an object. Here get data method is not required here. So here I am creating an object. Here also I am creating another object. So this get data method is not required. So what are the main important points about constructor? Here constructor name and class name must be same. So here constructor is also special method. Its main task is to initialize the variables. So constructor name and class name must be same. And also here I am not passing any parameters to the constructor. So this one is called as default constructor. Default constructor means a constructor without parameters is called as default constructor. So here I am initializing values directly. Number equals to 1, name equals to Suresh and address equals to HYD. And also one more important point about constructor is whenever we are creating an object, automatically constructor is invoked. Here I am creating an object. How to create an object? This statement creates an object. New EMP constructor. This one is calling constructor or not? Calling constructor. So generally simple definition of constructor is constructor constructs objects. Okay, constructor constructs objects. Here new is a keyword which is mainly for allocating memory dynamically. So if you are creating an object like
Why we don't use the get method if we use constructors?
why? Because methods we are used for implementing business logic only. Okay, not for initializations. Generally,
No, in this, why we didn't use the get method over here?
why I am using constructor? That is your question, madam. Actually, instead
No,
of
why didn't you use the get method?
okay, get data method. Why I am not using get data method for initialization? That is not a recommended practice or not. That is not recommended. Always initializations we can do with constructors only. And also one more drawback with get data method is explicitly we can call get data method or not. By using object explicitly we can call get data method. But your constructor will be called automatically whenever we are creating an object. Okay. EMP equals to new EMP. What happens automatically? This constructor is invoked. So the values will be assigned to the variables or not. One is assigned to the number and Suresh is assigned to the name, HYD is assigned to the address. But here one question. Here constructor is invoked before creating an object or after creating an object or at the same time? At the same time only. That means object creation and constructor invocation both will be done at the same time. Once the object is
So we
created,
can initialize the like you already you have initialized in between, right? A number equals to 1, name equals to Suresh, and address equals to Hyderabad.
yes.
So can we initialize in the class name only, like in the public employee? Can we initialize over there?
Constructor only or not? This one is only constructor. So constructor means
Yeah, can we initialize over there directly without writing the like? Can we save the memory?
yes,
We can save the memory, right?
yes, we can save the memory, but that one is for default constructor. Generally, if you are creating
Sorry?
object, your requirement is like this. For suppose if you are instead of writing this one, you can directly initialize like this. That one you are asking. Your question is Suresh, name equals to Suresh and address equals to HYD. Okay. So directly if you are calling print data method means if you are creating an object by default internally it calls default constructor. Even if you are not writing default constructor, internally it calls default constructor. Okay.
No, I was asking like, can we write like a public EMP? We already call the after the string name we call here the public constructor. So can we call the like can we initialize the values in the public EMP or no?
Yes, I already initialized values previously like that only. Here actually name and address I define. Just variables I am defining. Okay, public EMP.
Yeah,
This is the constructor. EMP is a
yeah,
constructor.
constructor.
So inside this
I
constructor,
was asking, can we initialize the values in the constructor?
yes, directly you can initialize the values.
Okay.
This one is default constructor. So here I am passing values directly like this. Name equals to Suresh and address equals to HYD per suppose. So here I am creating object, one object, two objects I am creating. So whenever we are creating object, what happens? This constructor is invoked. So this constructor initializes the values to the instance variables or not for first object. So first object contains number 1, name Suresh and address HYD. So if we are calling print data, number 1 is printed, name Suresh and address HYD is printed. If you are creating second object means second object is created, but second object is also initialized with same data. Why? Because what is the rule for constructor? Whenever we are creating object, constructor is invoked. Here I am not passing any parameters at the time of creating object. So automatically default constructor is invoked. So the default constructor initializes the values to the variables or not? Values to the variables. So here observe the output for suppose Java C test1.java. Java C test1.java. Java space test1. So both objects contain same data here also. That means one important point about default constructor is default constructor is useful to initialize all objects with same data. Okay. If you are writing default constructor, this one is default constructor. Class name and constructor name will be same or not? Same. If you are writing default constructor, the default constructor is useful to initialize all objects with same data. But if you want to initialize each object with different data means at that situation we can go for parameterized constructor. So what is parameterized constructor? Here int n and also string nj and also string add I am passing. So here number equals to n and name equals to nj and address equals to add. So if you are writing parameterized constructor, it is compulsory to pass the parameters here. So 1 comma Suresh and also HYD I am passing. Here for second object I am passing 2 comma Raj comma Bangalore like this. So if you are calling e dot print data, automatically first object is generally if you are creating an object new EMP. Here I am creating an object, but this one is a parameterized constructor. So at the time of creating object only I am passing parameters. 1 Suresh HYD. So 1 is passed to n and Suresh is passed to nj and HYD is passed to the add. So that values are initialized assigned to the object variables. What are the object variables? Number, name and also address. So if you are calling e dot print data means that number, name, address is printed. Like this, if you are creating another object, automatically second object is also created.
Like, can we take like I need to print only the employee table. Like you initialized employee E has E, right? From
Yes.
that I have to I need only the name from the first EMP, and the second EMP I need only the place. So how to write in that case?
In that case, we need to write separate getters and setters. Okay, for example, here I am writing separate setter methods and getter methods instead of get data, instead of okay, constructor is compulsory, but instead of that one, here I am writing get data method for suppose string get number for suppose string get number means here I am returning a number.
Can you write this entire code in Eclipse so that it will be easy for us to, we won't use in like Notepad, right? In our
Yes, yes, no
official
problem.
use, we use Eclipse. Yeah.
Actually, if I am going through Eclipse means everything is already existed or not. So that one we are facing some difficulty. That means the code will be typing very speed and also the user experience is difficulty. Okay, that means
No, we'll be getting like we can get to know the shortcuts, and it would be helpful for our
okay, okay. Directly getter methods and setter
yeah.
methods automatically initialized. Okay. In
Mm,
advanced Java, in servlets and everything I discussed through Eclipse only. Okay, no problem.
okay.
Why? Because in Eclipse, in Notepad, it is not possible to write HTML code and everything. So that is a little bit big. So at that situation, at the time of discussing advanced Java, I am going through the Eclipse, no problem. Okay. So your string get name for suppose. So your return name. So here I am writing separate getter methods or not? Getter methods and also get name and get address method. Here return address. So you can call any method now. For suppose if you want to get the name from first object, so at that situation e dot, then I am calling get name method. Get name method returns name. So it is compulsory to print that value or not. System dot out dot
Yeah.
println of e dot get name method. Here I am calling like that. Here also, if you want to print the address per suppose e1
Address.
dot get address I am calling.
Address.
Here system dot out dot println of e1 dot get address I am calling like this. Okay, this is the way. And also forward your email IDs through chat. I can forward some basic documents regarding Java, full-fledged documents.
Sure.
Okay, through chat just ping your mails. Rajiv.
Hello.
Can we have your mobile number?
Yes, yes. 1 second. I'm forwarding that mobile number. Rajiv, you also forward your mail ID.